Scottish politics has been very vibrant over this last 5 years. 2014 saw a referendum that was keenly fought under the auspices of a Section 30 order given by the David Cameron government that allowed a referendum that would be honoured to take place. Some people argue that we need that Section 30 permission again for Indyref2. I'm not so sure. You see, the reason Westminster gave permission for the last referendum was nothing to do with democratic credibility or the mood of the people. It was quite simply that they calculated we would lose, that Scotland wouldn't vote for independence. Why? Because the opinion polls were almost uniform at the time. They showed support for independence varied between 22 and at its very highest 25%. So David Cameron thought, oh well, give them their referendum and let's get rid of this question. Problem for David Cameron is when the campaign began and people heard the arguments for an independent Scotland free of Westminster corruption, an independent Scotland able to use its natural resources to tackle poverty and inequality instead of feeding the rich, an independent Scotland that could expel the obscenity of immoral, illegal nuclear weapons from our country, an independent Scotland that concentrated on the needs of its people rather than the needs of the millionaires. People began to buy into that argument. And the 25% who supported independence became 45% in September 18th, 2014. Yes, we lost, but we won the argument. It was a Pyrrhic victory for the Unionists because what we had done is we opened the bottle, we let out the genie of hope, of vision, of determination to have a new, a fairer and a better country. That has spread. That is a seed that was planted. And those seeds have begun to flourish. Those seeds have grown. The demand for independence now is greater than it was in 2013 in the run-up to the last referendum. And in 2016, the SNP sought a mandate. They said, vote for us in the Scottish elections and we're going to have Indyref2 because we think there's been fundamental changes in the way Britain has dealt with Scotland and the broken promises they gave at the time of the 14 referendum. People voted for the SNP. They won the mandate. Then you had a referendum on European Union membership. One of the big arguments during the campaign, regardless of those of us in the independence movement who don't necessarily buy into the wonders of the EU, regardless of all of that, one of the biggest arguments from the Unionists was, if you vote for independence, you'll have to leave the European Union. In other words, voting yes means leaving the EU. What a lie that was. The reality is, we're getting dragged out of the EU despite 62% of Scotland voting to stay in it. We're getting dragged out against our wishes. So there is a democratic mandate from the 2016 election, from the vote in the Scottish Parliament in March 2017 that said they endorsed the Indyref2, and then the general election. The general election that took place in June of 2017. SNP said if you vote for SNP, you're giving us a mandate for Indyref2. SNP won that election as well. The mandate exists in spades. It is now very, very clear that the First Minister and the SNP have to use the mandate because the pressure from the movement is there. There's been an announcement recently that they're going to use it in 2020, the latter part of 2020. Well, that's great that it's been used. I'm over the moon with that. But here's the warning. Here is the friendly bit of critique, not meant to criticise or bring down what the SNP's been doing in government. They've been doing well, they've been doing some things that are exemplary. But when you're going to fight a battle, when you're going to take on a powerful foe, and let's remind ourselves, the British state is one of the longest serving, most powerful, most ruthless, most bloody states in the history of the world. They exist because they know how to conquer. They know how to stay in power. The British establishment is extremely powerful. We nearly beat them in 2014. We came within a whisker of beating them. They are now divided. The Unionists are divided about what to do about Europe. Some of them want to stay in, some of them want to leave with a deal, some of them want to leave with no deal. They're fighting like ferrets in a sack. They're fighting with one another. And when they're fighting with one another, guess what? They can't fight us with the same remorseless effect. That means they're weak. If you've got a big opponent like the British state, why give them a year and a half to recover? Why not fight them now? Why not say October 31st is when Brexit's supposed to happen? That's when the UK's leaving. Scotland's going to get dragged out against its will. Why not, in the days before the 31st October, have the referendum? Say to the people of Scotland, do you want to go with England and Wales and be dragged out of the European Union? Or do you want to stay as an independent member of the European Union? We can have a referendum in the future about whether we continue that membership or not. But would you rather be an independent country that takes its own decisions, or be dragged out because of what England and Wales dictates? I say, let's have the referendum in October this year, 2019, not October next year. But I also say, regardless of when it's called, the grassroots independence movement has to put aside any differences, any squabbles. We have to show the same unity of purpose and action as the Unionists showed in 2014. We have to come together. We have to say, tie your ropes together. Because if we do that, we can win Scotland's freedom. We can refuse to be bullied. We can refuse to be conned. We can refuse to be lied to. We can become yet again an independent nation that uses its vast resources and natural wealth to tackle inequality and poverty, to banish low pay, to make sure every citizen of Scotland has a decent home, a decent health service, and an education service to be proud of. Let's build that new Scotland here in our hearts by campaigning for independence, preferably in 2019. But if it takes place in 2020, get involved and let's write Scotland's future together.